My thermometer tells me that my temperature right now is 98 degrees Fahrenheit. What if I told you that this thermometer never actually measured the temperature it's reporting, and neither does yours? Hi YouTube, welcome to Lab in Theory, where I explore the role of computational and mathematical modeling in the modern world. Models are everywhere, from something as simple as this thermometer to as complex as a rocket ship. Models are at the heart of so much of our modern technology. They influence public policy, monetary policy. They're all over the internet, social media, and advertising. And the problem is, most of us don't even know they exist. We don't know how they're built, how they function, and perhaps most importantly, in my opinion, where they succeed and where they fail. Now let's talk about this thermometer. Now it is flu season, so a lot of you are probably reaching for your thermometer just like I did. Now to understand why this thermometer needs a model, let's go back to a time before digital thermometers were invented. Before these were invented, to measure your body temperature, you would have to take what's called a liquid in glass thermometer. Usually there's a glass bulb filled with mercury, alcohol, or some other thermometric fluid. You'd have to insert that into your mouth or your rectum, and then you would have to wait until the temperature of the bulb, which started out at room temperature, reached equilibrium with the inside of your body. This doesn't happen immediately. This time interval was usually somewhere between 3 to 5 minutes. That's actually a long time. In 2022 time, if we adjust for loss of attention span, that's just way too many TikToks. Alright, terrible jokes aside, this was a real problem. Can you imagine trying to keep a sick child still for 5 minutes? How about an elderly patient, someone who's shivering? Compliance was a real problem. On top of that, glass thermometers can sometimes be difficult to read. There are so many ways such a basic task, like taking your temperature, can go wrong. With the invention of the electronic thermometer, the opportunity to be able to predict or anticipate the equilibrium temperature before the thermometer actually gets there became possible. Now, in order to understand how that works, we have to dive a little bit into every engineering student's favorite subject, heat transfer. Alright, let's start off by considering the tip of a thermometer where the probe is located. Embedded inside the metal casing is a sensor. Let's ignore the sensor for now. That can be the subject of an entire video itself. We insert the probe into our body, which is a lot warmer, and heat transfer begins taking place. Now in reality, and reality is in quotes here, there are a lot of complicating factors. Our body temperature is probably not perfectly constant. The thermometer is not in perfect contact with our body. The heat distribution within the probe is not uniform. The composition of the probe is not homogeneous. The geometry of the probe affects the heat transfer, and the list goes on. The rabbit hole is pretty deep. But fortunately for us, we can make a few key simplifying assumptions which will make modeling the heat transfer a whole lot easier with a very minor sacrifice in accuracy. Because the probe is tiny and has good thermal conductivity, let's assume that it's very small compared to the size of the environment and that temperature throughout the probe is always uniform. The place where we're taking the measurement is an infinite heat source. In other words, we're not considering the cooling effect of the temperature probe on the body, just the other way around. Let's also ignore fluctuations in body temperature. They're pretty small compared to what we're measuring. And lastly, let's assume perfect contact between the probe and our body. Under those conditions, the geometry of the probe doesn't matter, and we can perform what's called lumped analysis. It turns out, under those idealized conditions, the temperature of the probe approaches body temperature exponentially, meaning that the temperature will change rapidly at the beginning, but rather slowly later on. Here's a graph of real data from a temperature sensor design guide by Texas Instruments, looking at thermal response for oral and armpit temperature measurements. You'll see, first of all, that they both look very exponential. For the oral measurements, we're looking at roughly up to 5 minutes to get up to body temperature. Whereas with the armpit, where there isn't any saliva facilitating heat transfer, we're looking at up to 10 minutes. What's important, though, is that they're both exponential, a fact we can exploit to anticipate the final temperature without having to wait until it gets there. This idea of anticipation was included in the patent for what I think is the first commercial electronic thermometer. It was patented in 1972 by the IVAC Corporation. As with all technologies, the specific implementations and algorithms were improved upon, but the basic idea remains the same to this day. Using an exponential model, continuously predict the final temperature until your prediction converges. Once you've reached it, you trigger an alert. To see how this works, I wrote code to simulate temperature readings off a thermometer, and then wrote a controller with an anticipation algorithm. Once the temperature change decreases beyond a certain point, the controller starts making predictions. Once the predictions stabilize to within 0.01 degrees Fahrenheit, the controller stops and issues a final prediction. In this case, the predictions were within 0.06 degrees Fahrenheit. The controller predicted 98.68 degrees Fahrenheit, whereas the actual temperature was 98.75. It also made that final prediction within 26 seconds, whereas a patient would normally have to wait up to 100 seconds in this scenario for the thermometer to fully equilibrate with their body temperature. Now that we know how this thermometer works, we can actually trick it. What I'll do is I'll insert it into my mouth, and the moment it starts showing measurements, I'll take it out and put it back in very quickly, and then we'll see what happens. (94.7 degrees. Clearly wrong. Now, if this thermometer was actually measuring the correct temperature, what would happen is it would just take a little bit longer for it to reach equilibrium, and then it would beep. But what we did is we messed with the prediction algorithm, made it think for a split second that it actually had reached equilibrium, and it gave us the final predicted temperature, 94.7 degrees, which is incorrect. But it's a small price to pay for what would normally take 5 minutes, now taking 30 seconds. Well, that's all I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. There are no shortage of models to talk about, but if there's something specific you want me to discuss, please leave a comment down below, and I'll try to get to it as soon as possible. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.